Hello and welcome to Inspiration Plus, an inspirational program for people who want to live a significant, purposeful, and fulfilling life. Our guest this week is a phenomenal young woman, a social worker by profession, filmmaker, and storyteller by calling. Born in Sierra Leone, she migrated to Australia in 2002 and as a teenager discovered her interest in filmmaking when she was involved in a youth film project. She took the creative lead to make a short film and realized her passion for storytelling, creativity, and expression could be best channeled through the medium of film. Her name is none other than Hawanatu Bangura, who is also the founder of Mahawa Creative, a storytelling agency that helps organizations and individuals to craft meaningful narratives. Her company collaborates with local, corporate, and government organizations to create emotionally compelling videos for positive social impact. Thanks for joining us this morning, Hawanatu. It's an honor to have you on this program.
Thank you so much for having me. What an intro. It's really amazing to hear all that. Like, wow, that's me? Okay.
Yeah, you take it, girl.
I'll take you.
Take it in. Oh, wow. No, it's really a pleasure to have you on the program. And I know you're one amazing woman with such a powerful and inspirational story. And so I know our audience would really love to know from you how you ended up in Australia. Born in Sierra Leone and now living in Australia. How did that happen?
Yeah, as you mentioned in the intro, yes, I was born in Sierra Leone and I came to Australia in 2002. And back then in Sierra Leone, there was a civil war. So we had to flee the country. I left with my mom and dad and my two sisters. And I think we came here as refugees, and it was quite a struggle before we come here. It wasn't just the easy tickets to come to. I would say the first thing I knew about Australia was that someone mentioned it was it's located at the end of the world. So it's a very far place, and I thought, oh, okay, this is going to be quite a long journey. But even the process of getting a visa to come here when I was a refugee back then was a challenge, and I was just a little kid. So thanks to my parents, and we got a sponsorship from my uncle who had lived here since the 80s, so he sponsored us to come. But it wasn't an easy ride, but we overcame the adversities of getting the visa, and finally we made it here in Australia, which I prefer to call home.
It's home to many of us as well. So I am really in awe when I look at people who have come here as refugees, or even people who have chosen to come here, to come and live here or work here, whatever way people have found themselves in Australia. What's important for me is what the person is going to do once they've started living in Australia, or what they are going to do to contribute towards the betterment of that country. And so when I look at you, you are a perfect example of someone who has come here. You've come here with your family looking for a place of refuge. That's really where the word refugee came from. People are running away from danger, looking for a place of refuge, a place of protection, a place where they can be protected and covered, and they're provided with the peace that they need. So you've come here, and and you have turned out to be really someone who is doing her part to contribute towards the betterment of humanity. What a life.
Thank you. So well said. And thank you for clarifying that as well. You know, like refugees actually, they move from their homeland because of danger and they go to a place where they can seek refuge. There's a lot of ambiguity around,
That's right. That's right.
refugees.
That's
and,
right.
some people not welcoming them. It's not like, they just want to get out of their places. No one wants to leave their home, to be honest. We all love our home country. It's our comfort zone. We don't.
That's right. Where you have your family, around you, and you have all, you're surrounded by familiar things. Change is not something that many people embrace quite easily. So when you make that decision to move from one place to another, and for a refugee, you're fleeing something. So you have written, produced, and directed over 9 short films in various genres, including dance, experimental, drama, documentary, and animation. Tell us more about that.
So I wanted to tell stories from my community, and I find that a lot of the times the angle or the way that it has been told has not necessarily been appropriate for us. So I have first film that I did that focused on just Afro-Australian women is called I Am Black and Beautiful, which is a short documentary that has women talking about not fitting into the Western beauty ideal, and also because of their background and being African, sometimes they're not able to actually get the opportunities that they require, but they also have some insecurities growing up. While they were growing up in Australia. So so that film became a success because it went to a lot of film festivals, won an award, and it was also on the Qantas in-flight entertainment.
Wow.
So I was really proud of it because it was just like, like the women just being really authentic and just speaking the truth of, what their experience has been. And then after that, I have made some other films as well. I've explored a film about eating disorder from an African women's angle. And I've done films around disability from non-English speaking background. And just last year, I did a film with my cousin who did a spoken word about the experiences of going through a war. So it was just the war in general, but we just, because we've both gone through that before, and it's not necessarily something that I always want to talk about. So, but this particular one, because she wrote the poem and it speaks to me, I just thought, I really needed to do that. So that was made through Bust Up Films here in Sydney. And I've also got a collective that we are developing a web series currently called Afro Sisters.
Yes, Afro Sisters. Afro Sisters.
So look at us.
I know. I saw the pre-development. Is it pre-development? Yeah, pre-development episodes, and I was like, "Ooh, yay! We can't wait for the full thing, for the whole thing." Well done, guys. Well done.
I know. Gonna be
exciting. So what's the objective? What's your main objective on that one? Afro Sisters.
Okay, just Afro Sisters. So Afro Sisters sort of emerged while I was while I was making I Am Black and Beautiful, the short film. And we just find that, the participants in that film, were really talented creatives, like from different background, some of them theater, writers, and, acting and all these things. But we realized that we didn't really necessarily had a platform where we could tell our own stories. So we're fortunate for information and cultural exchange to give us this opportunity to actually come into their space. And we used to meet every Wednesday during that time in 2017. And we just wanted to see what evolves around that. And it was just an organic process that happened with the members of the collective that we wanted to do a web series. We hope to do a TV series, but before we get there, we want to do first a web series and, and just tell our own stories. And also, there's some really interesting and funny anecdotes that we just felt like was unique to us, as Africans.
I know. It's that humor that we can only identify with. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
But so we definitely. I personally
also some thought-provoking things as well.
Yeah, and I'm so looking forward to it. We can't wait for the whole series to be on the internet for all of us to enjoy. So yeah, well done. We're cheering you on. Keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you.
And so looking at what you have achieved so far, which is incredible, by the way, what's been your driving force?
I think for me, sometimes it's just about pursuing something. Like I always have a vision. And I'm one of those people that even though, there's so many challenges, I might not think that I have the resources or anything like that. But as soon as I have a vision of something that I want to do, I just find a way. I always feel like there's a way to get there. And that's why even like when you highlight all the things that I've achieved, like because I have been on the go so much, just doing it, like not even like pausing, but just doing it. But I feel like an opportunity like this with the COVID-19, it has actually helped me to reflect on what the things that I've achieved and just celebrate them. But that's an important lesson for me to learn. But I feel like my driving force is just knowing that there's a way, and, for people out there who don't, this might be like an inspiration to them, but it's a lot of hard work to make a film. Like seriously, I wouldn't advise anyone who just wants to make a film to just do it, but just be prepared that it's not what you see in like the red carpets and stuff.
Yes. Behind a lot of hurdles.
Hard work. Yes. Maybe that's my other driving force too, hard work.
A bit of persistence there, persistence and determination to achieve whatever you set your heart to achieve. So maybe that's what you're trying to say there. So you have founded Mahawa Creative, like I mentioned before, a storytelling agency. How easy has it been for you as a person of color to position yourself as a specialist or expert in this area?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I've always considered myself as a storyteller and a creative, and even in my social work as well, that's what people see me as, and I feel like I do, as a creative, I like to think outside the box. So I just needed something else, and I find that my main drive for that was that, if other people can do what they're doing, I just have to create my own business as well, because I do believe in the power of storytelling. And storytelling is not a rocket science. Like we have seen our people, even Africans, so wherever people have been in the Stone Ages, like we have told stories. And I think we can, so usually what I'm with Mahawa Creative, it's usually telling, you know, our own stories. So whether it's through the creative self-care workshops that I run, so where women can use creativity to express themselves and tell their own stories the way they want to, like in a positive light, or whether organizations want to tell the stories of their clients or the issues that impact on them. So I feel like, you know, there are other storytellers out there and things like that. But, you know, as a person of color, I always come with the cultural sensitivity to see that, you know, like this, I don't earn the story. You know, if I'm telling someone else's story, and this is one of the key things I learned from filmmaking, and I've told a lot of people's stories, but I always, you know, have to really honor that and, you know, just give them the platform. Like, I'm not giving them the voice because they already have the voice.
That's
so I'm
right.
just,
That's
you know,
right.
giving
That's
them
right.
the platform.
Yes.
To just elevate their stories, and so that, you know, a wider audience can see it. And there is something really resonating about that, you know. In one of the films that I did called Inner Demons, about a person with eating disorder who has also become a plus size model now. Think about it, because I couldn't necessarily relate to eating disorder, but I was just like, it's a mental health condition, and most women might have anxiety or some kind of mental health issues, even though they're not aware of it. But I feel like they can relate in some ways that, you know, you cannot really, like, even though you're like, oh yeah, you can just keep eating or you can stop worrying, but that's not the that's not the solution. So for me, it is about, you know, relating to that in some ways. You know, how do we what resonate with us through the stories that people are telling us. I feel like that's the way we connect as humans as well.
Yes.
And yeah, and I just thought, you know, this was just the next stage for me to create my own business and lead that in telling stories. But now I just want to do something beyond that and have that, not just people just watching it, but having that active engagement with people through the workshops, through helping them, you know, make the films that they want to see. Yeah.
Yes. And that's important, you know. Storytelling connects us as human beings, and it's also important. I like the fact that you want to be able to tell stories with people, not just for people, but you want to do it with them, and hence why you decided to start your own company, Mahawa Creative. And is there any, with Mahawa, does it mean anything, or it's just a name that you came up with? It's quite a unique name, so I'm really interested to know.
It's actually my original name.
There you go. So the secret is out.
That's the secret. So it's very personal to me. And it was so my my step grandma was called Mahawa. And I just happened to be called Hawanatu, but I still wanted to honor her. And because that name hasn't really come through yet, so I wanted to make that as the name of my business, because she has passed away and she did mean a lot to me. Even to this day, I still miss her. So that's why I wanted to continue with her legacy of just being a mom and being nurturing and just loving people. So I really, that's where Mahawa came from.
Oh, wow. Thank you for...
And another fact about Mahawa, it originated from the Quran, and it means Eve. So where there's Adam and Eve, there is Eve. So
I see. Oh, you see, there you go. So instead of saying Eve, you just go Mahawa.
Mahawa, yeah.
And so if there's someone out there watching or listening to this interview and they're trying to establish themselves as a filmmaker, what would be your like what would be your advice, or what
Okay,
would you
my
say?
advice to someone who wants to become a filmmaker, I think first of all, ask yourself that question. Are you ready to give it that 110%? Are you ready for rejection and failure and all those things that you don't see on social media? But if you say yes to that, you have to, because filmmaking, it's one of the key mediums that really you require people. You can't just do it on your own, you require all this crew to make it happen. If you have a vision, you have to be, in a way, a people's person. You have to really be able to build relationships that it's not just like work or let's just get the work done, but really be compassionate and understanding, and build those relationships through that ingredient. And then once you've got those relationships, you can ask for favors, especially when you're starting off, because I did, and I didn't have any money to pay these people, but I think they like me, they like my story, they're like, yeah, we want to work with you. And there were some people that I've worked with several times, and I still want to work with them. So it's that relationship, but also you got to put in the work as well. So, there's a lot of resources online, free stuff. Like I learned to edit using YouTube tutorials. And there are things like that, but also go out there, go to events, go and take those classes, filmmaking classes as well, and get yourself really immersed in understanding what the art of filmmaking is. And then, don't be afraid. Don't just start with, I want to make my first feature film. That's like your first film. No, don't do that. Start with something little first, try to practice, like you keep practicing. Because I didn't study directing. I did 1 or 2 courses on directing, like a weekend course, but I was just going, it's just instinctual for me, and I am just doing it. So try to do that if you know that you're not going to be able to study like 3 years of directing or filmmaking, just follow this path. And especially if you're coming from a background, I don't know, whatever your profession was before, or you have some knowledge in other areas, that's another dimension to your story. Because filmmakers, like, you don't live in a bubble. You got to get your ideas from places. And if you already have personal connection to the stories, to those issues, bring them with you, tell your own personal stories, or stories that mean something to you. Don't just make an action, Hollywood film, because that is what is going to sell. Make something that you're going to appreciate. Like in, 50 years from now, you can look at it, you're like, wow, I made that, that was me. I always think of myself like this drama and all.
Oh yeah, we all want blockbusters, and we all want to make quick money, right? But like you said, filmmaking is about patience, persistence, hard work, and also learning the skills of the trade.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Oh dear. And so, looking at the person you are, or you have become, and you will become in the future, what would you like your legacy to be about?
I guess I just I think about little kids a lot, like, because I've got nieces and things like that. And I just want them to just, especially women, to just appreciate who they are. And a lot of the things that I do, it's around identity and, and self-esteem and those sort of things. I just feel like, just be your authentic self, like me, just being me is like that's what I can do, and that makes me a lot more happier. Like, I discovered that a few years ago. I'm just like, I can't really be anyone else except myself. So I think that I would like that to be my legacy when someone looks and say, yeah, she was just being her authentic self with her little African bling bling and stuff. But yeah, that's just what I love to do. And I keep reminding myself every day, am I being my authentic self? Wherever I show up, that is really what we can offer to the world, if everyone just be their true selves and not try to become anyone else. That's really important. And I think that can really combat the issues that people face with self-esteem and insecurities as well.
Wow. You have really touched on a very important aspect. So oftentimes we want to be like someone when that someone has already been taken. So we need to be authentic, and that's the only way we can actually truly live and leave an imprint on this earth, or by being authentic, by being you, by being real to yourself and to the person you have been created to be. Thank you so much for pouring your heart out and for giving us the opportunity to talk to you. You are very, very busy, and I consider myself very fortunate to be able to have an hour with you because of your schedule. As we are about to wind up, there are three things that I normally ask all my guests to talk about, really, so that we get to know you a little bit more. So I call it Take Three. And so with this Take Three, I would want to, or our audience would really love to know, who are the three people you would like to meet and why?
Three people that are alive or to be dead in heaven.
If they're dead, that's too late. You would have loved to meet them. Okay, let's talk.
Just bring them back. Okay, the three people I would like to meet. Oh, good question. I really like to meet Oprah Winfrey. I know it sounds cliche, but I'm a big fan of her. She has, I think through her shows, I've really learned a lot about how I can be my authentic self. And who else would I like to meet? Also, in similar lines, I really like to meet Idris Elba. Idris Elba is the actor, and he's got that Sierra Leonean blood. Yeah. And he can speak Creole, which is always big. Like, it would just be fun to meet him in person. Like, I already feel like, yeah, he's like a brother that I don't really know yet. And who else would I like to meet? I would like to meet Tony Robbins. So he's a life coach. He's inspired a lot of people, or helped a lot of people through transforming them, helping them to have a transformation. And I do follow his work, and I think it can help me a little bit. I mean, all these people, it's like I want to get something from them, but I'm pretty sure, there's something I can give them as well. It's usually a two-way street, but yeah.
Very true.
Really amazing people.
Very true. How about the places you would like to visit? 3 places.
3 places. I would really love to visit Senegal. Senegal, because there's something that pulls me to there, even though it's like French speaking, but I think there's a culture, there's history there. The music is beautiful. The food is good. That's where jollof rice originated from. So I would love to go to that country. I also love to go to, I like to visit South Africa one day. Yeah, I think it's mainly African countries. So South Africa and Ghana. If I can add Kenya as well. I don't know. I want to go.
Oh yeah, Kenya, I know. Serengeti. For me, I think, yeah, if I go to Kenya, it'll be a visit to Serengeti. And then the last question would be, what are you grateful for? 3 things you're grateful for.
Mm-hmm. 3 things I'm grateful for. Yeah. Well, I'm grateful for my family. Just that, yeah, they're all doing quite well and I'm well connected with them. And I am grateful for my health and well-being. And I'm also grateful for, I'm also grateful for all the other relationships that I have that are really working for me in my life. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. You know, it's been a pleasure having you on this program. We have learned a lot about you, what drives you, and what the future holds for you, and the legacy that you are building. And all I can say is you are an incredible and an amazing woman. Keep up the good work, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. So, to our viewers and audience, I say thank you for watching or listening to this interview. Please be sure to stay connected by subscribing to my YouTube channel and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And we also want to hear from you. If you have something to say, feel free to leave a comment, provide us with some feedback, and tell us what you have enjoyed about this interview. Let's dream, grow, inspire, and develop together. Together is always better. So thank you very much, Hawanatu, for being a part of this program today. Thank you.